Okay, so before the guests come to the front of the stage, I will introduce them in this order, our moderator and then our two guests from the film. So Robyn Citizen, who will be our moderator, is the Director of Festival Programming and Cinematech at the Toronto International Film Festival. Before joining TIFF's programming team in 2018, she was a film lecturer at the University of British Columbia from 2012 to 2017. In 2010, Robyn spent 2 months in Japan writing in cat cafes and researching Black American and Japanese encounters in Japanese cinema for part of her dissertation. Stranger things have happened when people write their dissertations, believe me. And a few years later, earned a PhD with distinction in cinema studies from New York University. She has published essays in edited volumes in film journals, served on various film festival juries, programmed for the Human Rights Film Festival, and was previously board co-chair of the local Breakthroughs Film Festival. And we're thrilled that Robyn has come back again to help us moderate an event. We have two of the actors from the film, as I mentioned before. So first, Tattiawna Jones, who plays Joy, is a Canadian-born artist whose work in film, television, and stage spans over 15 years. Well, I'll say you wear that well. She has had the distinct pleasure of bringing many roles to life, from dramatic to comedic to character. Tattiawna received a Screen Actors Guild Award nomination for Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble for her work on Hulu's hit television series The Handmaid's Tale in the role of Lily Fuller. Other notable roles include HBO Max's post-apocalyptic Station 11 as Lara, Emily in AMC's Orphan Black Echoes, Ava in Fox's Lost in Space, Violet in Tully, and Amélie de Grasse on Bravo TV's hit cop drama 19-2. Most recently, Tattiawna can be seen in the role of Arada in Apple TV Plus's sci-fi comedic thriller Murderbot, and Mae Martin's original Netflix series Wayward as Bunny. Tattiawna loves exploring diverse experiences to uncover universal truths that challenge and expand her understanding of existence. And then finally, we have Leighton Williams, who plays Josh. Leighton is an award-winning actor, writer, and director. He graduated York University's Acting Conservatory, and since leaving theater school, Leighton has performed on some of the biggest stages across Canada and the U.S. His breakout role as Satan in his play Judas Noir. I should have said Satan. I don't know if that helps, but in his play Judas Noir, gained him his first Dora Mavor-Moore nomination, along with being the recipient of Ontario's Emerging Artist of the Year award. Over the course of the pandemic, Leighton made a career pivot to film and television. He trained at the prestigious Canadian Film Centre and is an alumnus of their CBC Actors Conservatory. Since graduating, Leighton has starred in such films as Bite of a Mango and had guest spots on the series Day Players and Murdoch Mysteries. Leighton also plays a lead character in the new comedic series Settle Down, which is now streaming on Amazon Prime Video and CBC Gem. So let us welcome to the stage our moderator and our two guests.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us. Hi.
I'm going to give everyone in the audience a chance to ask questions in a little bit, but we're going to get the conversation rolling. I saw Dinner with Friends actually a little bit after it played at the festival, and I like Sasha's work so much, and Sinking Ship is one of my favorite shorts ever, and the wisdom that she has about relationships in that film translates directly to this film. The script is brilliant, the performances are amazing across the board. I want to know, as actors, this must be a nice role to sink your teeth into with all the dialogue and all the playing off each other. So how did you both come to this film?
What drew me to this film was Sasha Lee Henry being attached to it. I remember watching a show called Bria Matt Gets a Life, and I was blown away. I was blown away because I'm like, this is Canadian content. It felt so refreshing to watch that, and immediately I had a conversation with my agent and God, and just saying how enthusiastic I am. I want to work with this woman, okay? And then flash forward a year later, my agent's like, hey, Sasha Lee Henry is casting for her first feature film. and I was just like, sign me up. I didn't even read the script. Sign me up. Where's it at? Let's audition. And after that audition process, the stars aligned, and it went my way, and that's how I got attached to it. And and obviously the content, I'm in my 30s now, so I'm definitely going through what the characters are going through in terms of like trying to make time for your friends. It's like a part-time job, right? And it's not like there's a lack of love, but you grow up and you're pulled in different directions. And it's like I'm talking too much now, but but we prioritize romantic love a lot, right? But in this life, we really need friendships to get through it and to alleviate the stress. And friendships take work. So that's what I really loved most about this film. It's how do we keep friendships alive and nurture them.
And after you leave university, or like, that school setting, it gets
Yes.
much, much harder.
Of course.
How did you come to Joy?
Yeah, similar. I was a fan of Sasha's. I got to audition for Bria Mack. And when I read it, I was like, who is this? Who wrote this? What is happening here? Brilliant. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Yeah, and so then I had the opportunity to audition and met Sasha and Tania, who is also here, by the way, our brilliant writer, Tania. Yes, who is here as well. Hooray, hooray. And we had a super fun, incredible, creative, collaborative audition process, and that was my experience throughout the whole of the creative process, was from the audition right into, sitting here. It's always been that way. They set it up that way, and I think it translates up there.
I mean, did you know which part you wanted to go out for? Or did you did you read for several different roles and then were like, actually, I connect with Joy? Or how did you become Joy and Josh?
Yeah, okay. I know for me, I was submitted for Josh originally, and I'm glad that I did, even though I'm more of a Thai in person. And I trust me, guys, I'm far more mellow.
Lies. Back to you.
But yeah, Josh was just really fun. My agent knows that I have a proclivity to characters that are a bit messy and unhinged, and yeah, he was such a gift to ground and make real, and yeah.
Get some of the funniest lines.
Right?
It was a joy.
No pun intended.
No
but
pun
that
intended.
happened a lot on set. Apologies. When I read a script, I like to read it. So I will stay away from the breakdown that comes in the audition, and I'll just go, okay, where's the script? I'll read it so that I'm as least influenced and can read it in as pure form as possible. And there wasn't a particular character that I was like, oh, I couldn't, including Ty, including Josh. I was like, yeah, send me out for all of them. I can do that too. But they're just such well fleshed out, grounded, relatable. All of those people. I'm like, yeah, I know that person. I went to school. Or like, yeah, I know that person. They're still in my life. Or like, yeah, I know that person. And so then when I went back, I'm like, okay, Joy, it was a joy to, it was, because I know that person. I know that person in myself. I know that person in others. I know that woman. And so to get to try and tell her story, yeah, I was very excited, and yeah, glad that it happened the way it did.
We were talking backstage with yeah, go ahead.
So as it turns out, you probably heard the producer and co-writer is here. So I think it would be a kind of a crime of omission if she wasn't part of this discussion.
Agreed.
So I've got a chair.
Great,
Yes.
great.
So I'm just gonna, Robyn, you can improvise.
Yeah.
Come on over.
Welcome Tania to the stage.
Yes.
Yes.
No, no, no.
No.
There's a chair right here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh no.
I'm going to take a picture of everybody because this is my job as a producer. Yes, the documentation.
Perfect.
Hello.
Hi.
I do have a question for you, because this is a chatty film. It's a film full of dialogues, and it's really difficult to make it feel dynamic visually when you're focusing on people just talking to each other. But this film is visually dynamic. It never gets boring. It's always shot in a very interesting way, where there are a lot of discussions about that on set, about like the blocking, how to make this scene, how to cut into the scene.
Well, that really goes to Sasha and Grant Cooper, who was our DP. And like, it's important to say that we went to camera with $100,000 and shot it in 9 days. And so it was like run and gun. And so the two of them spent a good couple of days just really like very much strategizing how they were gonna shoot every dinner and how they would make each dinner different from each other. So that it didn't feel repetitive, which I think they did a great job at. And between Sasha and I, we were inspired by certain movies that like just had sort of like a fly on the wall kind of vibe to it. So making sure that the blocking was going to be a big part of it, so that we could take longer takes and we could shoot a lot of pages in one day. And so that really was sort of the inspiration, was make it really chatty, make people come in and out of rooms. People are up on their feet while other people are sitting, and like we're just really like crossing. And but there was like a ton of blocking and like strategy to it between Sasha and Grant, for sure.
And for as a performer, what is a 9-day shoot like? Particularly, I mean, this, jumps time periods, and a lot of stuff happens. I mean, the relationships are up and down, and they're very complex. What is it like actually going into character and then going into a character, weeks, months later, in only 9 days?
It's when you have people like Sasha and Tania, I certainly felt safe, and I felt encouraged to jump, and so it was a pleasure. It's you get to dive off the high diving board every day, and then you're like, oh, we only get 9 days, and so you just want to go further and deeper every single take that I could. I want to go further and deeper every single take that I could. So it made it enjoyable, and it was really all of the best things when a group of actors get together, and we fell in love as we did, and we became the family that we did in front of the screen and behind the screen and all together. And when you have a team like that, it makes the jump much easier.
Yeah, you need synergy to make something like that work, and that's why kudos to the casting team. Because we, like Tania was saying, we had long takes, and it kind of felt like theater to an extent of just living in the moment and lots of moving parts. So you really need to rally with your teammates to pull something like that off.
And were you able to improvise, or was the script stuck to pretty closely? Because I imagine in the moment, as you're fully in character, things come up, and you might want to go places.
But that's the beauty of the writing. It feels like it's improvised, but a lot of that was scripted.
Yeah, I would say most of it was scripted, except Leighton. Leighton didn't say any of his lines. He just did whatever he wanted to. No.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty scripted. I mean, there's obvious like little like throwaways, or just like small adjustments on the dialogue, which was great. Like, we weren't precious about that stuff. Let's not interrupt the take. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And but yeah, like it's a very wordy script, that's for sure. It originally was 120 pages. Like we cut it down 30 pages from the time that we knew we were going to the time when we were actually going to camera.
But it still feels very narratively dense. Like, so much is happening, and there's so much characterization. I want to know what you all think about. This obviously draws from certain films that are relationship based, and but what you don't see as often, I find, is this type of interiority represented by people of color and Black people and racialized people. So the films that we tend to see, we're doing things, or it's a certain time period, but you get a level of inner life with all of these characters that I think is really important for Sasha and Tania, to write about and bring to the fore? There's only a few people. In the 90s, I feel like, I'm aging myself, but like Love Jones and Losing Ground by Kathleen Collins, where you get these type of really rich characters. But what does it mean to have these type of fully fleshed out characters with these inner lives as actors of color, people of color?
Yeah, it's incredibly important, and you nailed it. It's a testament to the writing and the creators and the people who are brave enough to go, this is what we want to make, and this is how we want to make it. And is there anybody out there who wants to make this thing this way with us? I agree that it's an incredibly important, and always has been and always will be, to see people as people, especially people of color. So when something like this comes along that really sees the humanity as opposed to some kind of iconography or some other thing, that it's really people that are up there, that it really has this textural vulnerability that is palatable. I'm using a lot of metaphors, but yeah, that really, when it's on the page and when you read it off the page, it's there, and then you can't help but be inspired by that and do your best to bring all of that to the project, to the screen.
And it also felt, excuse me, it also felt refreshing to play a Black queer man who, where the main story isn't about him being Black or queer, right? He just gets to exist in his group of friends. And I thought that was chef's kiss, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Did you and Sasha talk about that when writing the script? Particularly Tristan's character could have gone in a very different way, in different hands, like stereotypical way. He was kind of like absent, and then thinking about leaving again at a certain point. Was that kind of something discussed, or were you just drawing on actual real people that you knew?
Both. So, I mean, yeah, sort of a universal language to relationships. But definitely, and I don't want to speak for Sasha, but I feel confident in sort of saying what Leighton was saying, of just, it's important to tell stories where trauma isn't the driving plot point or the storyline, and also, isn't exploited for entertainment, right? Like, and so the idea of, just having a group of friends who can exist as they are and aren't going to be, we're not going to like put words in their mouth or like force them into situations where it's like, would that even really happen in a group of friends? Or like, are we just putting that on so that we can hit like story marks? Like, that seems just so, I mean, we're just not interested in any of that. And then, just sort of the universality part of it, of just like, let the characters or let the actors bring to the characters the specificity, sorry, fumbling on that word, but that like in different hands with different people, they could interpret it a different way. But like we really, there's this sort of thing that we were sort of trying to get away from, which is like having them be nice to each other on the surface, but then there's undercurrent of like subtext of like there's conflict and there's problems and they don't really like each other, and this is all gonna boil to the surface and they're gonna have a blowout and then they're like happy ending. We're like, that's not really what's going on. The catty bitchiness is on the surface because that's all that it is. Underneath that is just love, right? Like they are friends, right? Like, and so like that's what we wanted to show, of like there can be these squabbles and like people are going through it at different parts and times in their life, but like there's never any question that they love each other and that they're going to be there for each other. That's what they're trying to do while they navigate all that surface crap, right, that we all sort of have to deal with.
And it's tense, but they resolve it like adults.
Yeah. Right? Like you would.
Yeah. I wanted to know, in terms of this film, when you're watching the film now, are there any favorite moments or scenes that play out differently than you remember thinking about them on set when you were shooting them?
I think it was on day 1 or day 2, we shot the scene where it goes in a circular motion, and for the first take, I felt like an audience member, and it was just like, oh wait, I'm in the scene, You know, because I was just so enthralled by my co-stars' performances. And I was just like, yeah, we have a movie here. And it's like, yeah, like I'm with juggernauts, you know? So watching it back, that scene always gives me that feeling of like when I was on set. Because that's when I knew that like we really had something special.
It was working. It was all coming together.
I like the scenes that I'm not in, because if I wasn't, well, someone's laughing. This is good. Because I wasn't there and I didn't see what happened, and so to see all of those, and one of my favorites is when Ty and Josh are talking in the alleyway, and there's like, hey, what? And they have that intimate moment, is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. It's just, I love that relationship, and I love that moment between those two characters. Yeah.
Is this the scene after when Josh is angry about the children?
That's
being
the
a-
When we
Okay.
had the blow up, when I have to drag Joy by her ponytail.
So I cut it off.
That's my favorite scene as well. So I do want to make sure that people in the audience have a chance to ask questions. I'll start opening it up to you, and then there will be somebody that will come around with a mic to make sure that we can all hear you. I think maybe they're still getting a mic.
I think I stole the mic.
I can help you. Here.
Thank you. So you guys are like mid-30s, did I hear? I just turned 70. So, you know, context is everything. Watching this film, it's very relatable, but to me, it takes me back to The Big Chill. And, you know, I see a very updated and Canadian and contemporary reinterpretation of some of the themes of that film. Was that in your minds? Did that come up at all? And did you do anything to deal with that specifically, to make it not that film?
To make it not The Big Chill?
Yeah.
I mean, we had to work really hard to not just copy that film. No, no. I mean, it was one of our hero references, right? Like we were talking about it all the time about that film, and yeah, that was a huge reference for us when we were like pitching it or explaining it to people. Was very much big for both of us.
How many people have seen The Big Chill in here? Just curious. Nice. Film education. Thanks. Any? Yes, right there.
I know. This is what it was like on set, where it's like, who's got the thing? Great, I got it. Okay, no, who's got it? We got it. Okay, we got 9 days. Let's go. So it's fun.
Hi. I just want to say I really enjoyed watching the movie, and I think it was really beautifully written. I had a question for Tattiawna and Leighton. So I know you, both of you played characters that faced a lot of hardships, and like the characters had to make a lot of big life choices. And I was wondering, when you both played the characters, did you kind of connect it back to your life, and like, did you guys learn anything that you, could take with you, like, in your personal life from this role?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, playing Josh reminded me that I'm not afraid of confrontation, and that doesn't make me a belligerent person, but it means that in life, if you really want a relationship to survive, sometimes you have to have those truth talks, right? And Josh is that person in his friend group that's willing to just say what is on everybody else's mind. And even though it can cause conflict or whatever, it really makes the space feel safe enough to say whatever is on your mind. So that was something that I really pulled, like a reminder for me in playing this role. And something that I want to hold on to and not let go of. Because when I see how people respond to Josh, and just like, yeah, he's lovable, even though he says shit, you know? And it's like, say shit. Because if you don't, how does the quote go? It's like, if you don't, it'll come back to me. But you have to say what's on your mind, otherwise it's gonna eat you up inside. Yeah.
Are you an actor? Yeah. Oh, I was just asking because it's a question that actors often ask. Actors, we ask it of ourselves, but other actors often ask it. So I was curious if you're an actor. Excuse me. I like to go to work thinking that we all have a soundboard in front of us, and that each character has the same knobs on the soundboard, and it just depends which ones are at what setting and what volume, so that all characters, all people are capable of anything, and then which ones need to be adjusted, dialed up, dialed down for this based on my own experience as a human, as a person. What do I have to bring to that? What am I missing? What don't I know? All the questions. So for me, it's a combination of, in that investigation, bringing myself to the character will ultimately result in learning something about myself through the investigation and through playing that character.
Thank you.
When it comes to Joy, it's an ensemble film, but she's the core. She's the one who tries to kind of be at the center of the friend group and keeps pulling people back. She's kind of like the nucleus. And we stay with her and Malachi's relationship for a lot of the film. It's kind of orbits around that. How did you and the actor that plays Malachi kind of develop your dynamic? Because there's some real profound things that come out of the evolution of your relationship. And there's one scene where Malachi says you get to a point in your life where you're kind of questioning all of your decisions, and sometimes the easiest decision to reverse is your marriage. And that was
I know.
that was a deep moment.
That was good.
Yeah. So how did you work together to build that rapport that comes across?
I think sometimes you have time, sometimes you don't have time. And when you're doing a 9-day shoot, that's the time you have. You pray to the muses and to all of the creative gods that are at play that you end up in an environment with Sasha and Tania who know what they're doing, who when they're casting, like, so much work has already been done before I as the actor even arrive in the audition process, let alone on set. And so when that work is done to the level that Sasha and Tania do it to, then a lot of the foundation has been poured. And so then it's up to me as an actor to go right away. Like, there's no time to not do it. And I hope, I don't know, maybe they're like, no, we just liked your hair. But like,
That was it. It was that.
I knew it. But I think that's what is seen in the casting process, and at least I certainly see that in my fellow actors when I'm like, oh yeah, that, you arrive on set and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You are this person, which, I'm putting that on that person. I don't know that person yet, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I think that it's just about going now. And as actors, that's the choice I get to make. I can choose to be brave right now, brave right now, brave right now. And in life, and in, we wish that some people would be braver right now in other positions, but that's that. Exactly. Yeah, just go be brave.
I just want to jump in, is like the amount of professionalism and talent that you all had so that you could do that. Like, we were able to keep on schedule and shoot it as quickly as we did and get the kind of coverage that we got, because exactly what you're suggesting is, like, when you needed to go, you guys were like in it already. Like, there was not a lot of like, we're warming up, to get to it. It's like we were going through stuff and it was just like all cylinders all the time. And it was really like, you guys were so professionally, like, just so talented. And I mean, we were all at the monitor just going, fuck, did we just get that? Like, at the first take? Like, is that it? It's like, are we just going to do one for safety? And then it's like, oh my God, that one's fantastic. Like, what? Oh God, like, can we really move on? Like, I mean, there'd be days when we come back from lunch and be like, we have a lot of pages. Like, this might be the day that we really blow the schedule. Nope. And it was always because of just, I mean, you guys were so well prepared and just always so in your characters. And like, yeah, I mean, I think you guys can all agree that the talent is on the screen. These guys were an amazing cast.
There was a question over there. Yes.
Hi. Oh, can you hear me?
No.
Gorgeous movie. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. My question is for Tania. I may have missed it, maybe not, but I don't think we get the background information of how these friends became friends. Is that something that was intentional between you and Sasha, or was that just something you guys just wanted to have the audience dive headfirst into their friendship?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that like we have the whole backstory of how they met, and so we know exactly, yeah, like how the whole thing originated. But yeah, we're kind of just like plopping in to them after knowing each other, say, for 10 years, right? Like they've been friends since like their early 20s in university and their first jobs and that kind of thing. But yeah, it was mostly just out of a necessity of time, how much you can fit in.
And I have to say, sometimes it felt like, why would all these people be friends with each other? Because they're so different. But I feel like that's actually how friend groups do come together, because there's always like the odd person that does this, and they're the foil of this other person, and then you evolve in ways you don't expect. And so you're in your 30s, and you're like, how do we even know each other? What did we have in common at some point? Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Really good film. As an elder millennial myself, I identified with a lot of the characters. I'm just really curious. There's a lot of chemistry between all of the actors, and I really do wonder if you know each other in real life. Have you worked together a lot on other films? Because it often, like, I didn't blink. I was just there with you. So, like, how and I don't know who can speak to casting on this on the stage, but yeah, just a curiosity.
Okay, well, I met Tattiawna back in 2016 at an acting class, and my scene partner was away because she was on set, and Tattiawna had to step in. We were doing a scene called Angels in America from a play, and Tattiawna played Harper, and I was Joe. And working with her in that scene moved my work. I had an emotional breakthrough for the first time as an actor, and Tattiawna just laughed at me. And she just laughed at me in the scene. That was her impulse. And I was just like, who is this woman? And Stephen Park said to me, he's just like, yeah, follow the love. Like, I loved her in that moment. And I was just like, wow, this is the power of acting. And to come full circle, I was even telling Lavelle, I'm just like, Tattiawna Jones is in this film. I get to work with her. Oh my God. So Tattiawna is someone that I knew. Michael Davidson, I went to York with as well. And I did a show, Settle Down, with Tamika. So I guess I'm popular in the cast. What can I say? And Andrew Bushell, I did a Christmas movie with as well. Stop! Go ahead.
Yeah, we're actors in Toronto, so inevitably we all sort of know of each other or run into each other. Yeah.
Good question. Yes.
Awesome. It was amazing. It's been a long time since I've watched a film that didn't feel, I think, Tania, you mentioned it, that you all were very intentional about not giving us like trauma porn. And I really appreciated that. So I guess I was curious about, I haven't seen any of you all's work before. So I don't know if this is like giving us this kind of very real, very honest human connection on screen is something that you all have kind of committed to throughout your careers as writers and producers. But yeah, I'm curious about what really inspired this, and in a time when there is so much like just doing too much for films. Like, I was really moved by the way that you all closed it out. I was so relieved. I always feel so violated when they just kind of start doing foolishness just to like make people's jaws drop, when it's like, don't do that to the characters and we're invested in them. So yeah, I think I just wanted to know like what really inspired the writing of this particular film, and if it's something that, like I said, that you all have been kind of committed to, or if it really was birthed out of some very intimate experiences that you all had.
Again, both. And so Sasha is hilarious. And so her series, Bria Matt Gets a Life, which I worked on as well, but it was her creation, and she was the showrunner and like definitely the force behind that show, is a full-on comedy. Like, it is hilariously funny, and it's just very lighthearted, but like in a very smart way. Like, but so comedy is really a lane of hers, and like I'm less funny, to be honest, but and my comedies are, humor is like drier, so like, we obviously write that, but the other lane that we work in is just talking constantly. Like, she and our meetings are like 6 hours long, right? And like, leave us alone, and like, we could talk for days, right? Just like la 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 constantly. And so you mentioned Sinking Ship. We did Sinking Ship, which is another very like, it's kind of like one pair of the couples. So it's just two people sitting, navigating like their relationship and negotiating their relationship. So that's definitely a lane. Like, we're kind of all over the place, but we like this kind of stuff. We like to watch this kind of stuff, The Big Chill, and Husbands and Wives, and there's like a bunch of movies that are just really about relationships, whether they're friendships or romantic relationships, and working it out. So I think we'll always make this kind of stuff, but there will also be comedies. There will also be, maybe we have an action thriller that we're very like committed to making. But again, very strong female characters, very sort of warm-hearted or like kind-hearted, like you were saying, like, we're not trying to beat up the audience in any of this stuff. And so, but yeah, like, I think if there's one thing that would describe our work together, it's eclectic. Like, we're trying not to be so concerned with whether it makes sense to other people. Like, at the end of the day, maybe the only through line is it's our work. Like, we're the ones making it, which is fine. I can wait 20 years for the through line, like, if it makes sense, down the road.
In your collaboration, you're both kind of polymaths, because this is very observational and real, but I would say in her comedy and also in Sinking Ship, there's these wonderful elements of the surreal that kind of enter in, and so you can't nail it down, but that's, I think, maybe why it feels so vital when you write and work together. Yeah. Do we have time for one more question? Maybe two? Okay, yes? Mike is coming.
Thank you. Amazing film, very humane, charitable, if that makes sense. Piggybacking a little off the last question, can you speak to any inspiration on the kind of setting of the film, like a vignette of just dinner parties? Why dinner parties? Why that
on the
setting?
cheap. Again, it's like, we love a challenge, and a little backstory of the inspiration of, like, we had just come off a long period of development where we were developing something and then it wasn't going, and we were like dying to make something, and especially for Sasha, because she's a director, right? It's just like, it had been a while since she'd been able to direct anything. It was like, we have to do something, like, and so we made it the biggest movie we could make on the smallest budget, and this was just this sort of container to make that happen, right? We figured we wanted it to be filled with actors, lots of conversations, like 8, for all intents and purposes, leads is a lot, and the only way we could juggle all of that is if we could really locate it. And like Sasha always says, there was a time when we were like, well, I got a house, you got a house, we got a friend who's got a house. There's our locations. Like, we just, like, we'll just find the people who are like us, who will do it, and we'll just make it. And some version of that happened, obviously. We got a little more professional about it.
Honestly, that's why I love producers on stage, because you get those answers where it's like, it was money, these are the logistics, like, this is brass tacks. Yes. In the back.
So congratulations on the film. It's really smart and funny and engaging and relatable when you are in your 30s and all these conversations are going on with the people in your lives. My question is particularly around the script. I thought it was really an interesting choice to not to show like Malachi and Joy getting back together, or at the start, Evie and Tristan getting back together. And the emotional climax of the film, the heartbeat, felt like that conversation that Joy and Tristan have in the daughter's room. So was that like a timing decision, or just to sort of center the relationship between the friends, because it felt like that was the driving love story?
Yeah, so both of those things again. So to answer your first part of your question, a little bit of budget, right? Of like, let's not show all of that stuff. But also, if you want, like we were thinking about how you learn about what's going on in your friends' lives, especially if there's some distance, you know, if it's not somebody you're texting with every day. Like, you're not in their bedroom when they're deciding what to do, right? Even though we did show that in 2 different bedroom scenes. But like, you're getting the update as it sort of like unfolds in front of you. It's like, oh, you're pregnant. It's like, oh, you guys are back together. Oh, you're splitting up. Like, your friends tell you stuff, you know, and that's kind of how we wanted the friends, but also the audience to be able to be like, oh yeah, life continues on in between these dinners. Big stuff happens, and this is just the conversation you have about the big stuff, which is like what you discuss over dinner, right? And it definitely was, you know, what Leighton was saying earlier about friendships and needing your friends, and like romantic love gets all the glory, but it really is these, you know, it's so much pressure to put on one person that you need to satisfy everything I need. You need to be all the support I could possibly ever have. And so, especially for someone like Joy, who like is a lot, right? Like, she's an overachiever. She's like very successful, but she's also like struggling. But it's too much for like her husband to be everything. He's got his own stuff going on, right? Which is where it sort of falls apart for them. But she has this like real connection to Tristan, and everybody knows it, and nobody's weirded out by it. And like, we went to great pains to make sure that everybody knew, that Evie knew, right? Like, that they had their connection, and like, we very strategically put it in the kid's bedroom so that there was a kid in the room. Nobody's like off top. Nothing's gonna happen in here. There's a kid in the bed. Like, that's not what this is. Like, let go of that. Like, helping the audience to let go of that, so you can just, this is a platonic scene, and like, we're really gonna dive into like, and again, not even really get into the weeds of like what it is. Obviously, we allude to what their bond is, but that's kind of enough, because between them, they know, right? So like, why do we need to spell it out? You get it.
I've seen too many European films because I wasn't sure that it wasn't going there. I think, and then I was so happy when you pulled back and avoided kind of that cliche. I kept waiting for the reveal that something more was going to be between them, but you guys kept it classy, very cute. Maybe one more question? Yes.
Thank you so much. This is a question for all 4 of you, actually, because you're so, I think, such a central pillar of culture, and what we see reinforces what we live, and there's been so much talk, and I feel like a cultural shift that maybe for a while, you know, stories about non-white people could be on screen and be in the boardroom, you know, people who have different life experiences, that those stories mattered. And then there was a shift where it's like, well, maybe, maybe not. And I want to know if in the arts and culture, you see if there's actually a rollback of like financing that's available, or the kinds of parts that get written, or the forums that are available to still pursue those kinds of stories. Like, this was so refreshing, and someone said it at the very beginning, and Leighton, you mentioned it as well, which is to just be able to play like a Black queer actor, and, you know, just the movie not to be about that, right? It's about this more universal experience. Like, it really feels like, you know, this experience of like whether or not you're an elder millennial or your 30s, whether it's 2026 or something from a lot longer ago, you can still connect with these themes. And are there more of those stories? Is there a contraction? Is it a struggle to still find that? I'd be really interested in your thoughts.
I mean, I can I can speak on it from a film festival perspective. Yes, short answer. I think there is a contraction in the funding and resources available for those stories, and some of it's politics. And so we're North America. We're part of the U.S. is right next door. People are very risk averse in the industry right now, right? And there's already kind of those obstacles that exist. There's not a lot of funding, but there's funding available for when you're making your first film. I think all the evidence shows that, Black filmmakers and Black producers start getting into the industry later for a number of reasons. And then the money for your second film and your third film, that's much, much harder to come by and keeping that momentum. So I do think, the solution seems to be collectives. So I know like Sasha and Kelly Fife Marshall and Tamar Burt, like working with a group of friends where you produce and you write and you direct each other's work. That's some of the strongest work I'm seeing, the people that produce most consistently and are able to kind of maintain their careers. But we are facing some kind of structural systemic challenges.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that there was, as everything gets like more precarious, people get more conservative, and that happens too with like the choices for funding and for things that get greenlit or get supported. And I think, during the pandemic with the racial reckoning and Black Lives Matter, there was like a real push to be like open-hearted and to like really try to course correct. But unfortunately, like that, some of that was trendy, just to be perfectly frank. And you do see it like the trend is over, right? Like the people who were not really doing it for the most genuine of reasons, it has really like slid back. And then on top of that, you have like an industry that really is in like some like terrible positions, right? Like, and people just do get more conservative, like they're risk averse, right? And so anything that isn't tried and true is going to be harder. And that's just sort of the hard truth of it. Sorry.
But then you have people like Nia DaCosta who have released like 5 studio movies in a couple of years. So there's hope on the big kind of studio scale, and there's a lot of hope on the independent. Especially the Toronto cohort of filmmakers.
Yes, I would agree. And I think, we were sort of discussing it out there of like, all it takes is sort of like one person to sort of disprove what people think is the right way to do it. And they're like, that'll never work. And then it does work. Somebody like bursts that like terrible narrative bubble. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, so maybe that is just like a myth that won't work, right? So I think it does shift, but like, so there's hope obviously, but and glimmers of it, but it really I do think it does come from like independent filmmakers who are just like, I'm going to do it anyway, or I'm and then if you are successful, people will recognize success. Like I think people are sort of, again, it's so surprising how many people are just waiting to see what works. Like they're very, very like wanting to, like they'll follow a different trail. Like so anyway,
but lots of hope. Especially in collaborations like these. And I want to thank you for your questions. I want to thank you for reminding us to be brave now. So maybe that's what we take away. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.